Hi Silem stars, you're welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, please do also subscribe down below. It's absolutely free and it helps my channel grow. In today's video guys, I'm going to show you how to make a tier layered tulle dress. Okay, so this dress is in layers and then we're using tulle to make this lovely dress. Now the top half of this dress is going to be a princess dark bustier with a yoke. I'm going to leave the link to that tutorial in the description box down below as well as in the pinned comments. But for today's video, we're going to focus on the bottom half of the dress. So if you want to see how we do this, definitely keep on watching. Now before we get right into the tutorial, I want to introduce you all to the sponsor of today's video, StyleBits. StyleBits is a fashion business app that allows you to manage your fashion business from the comfort of your home, hassle-free. Now, one of the things I love about this app is that it allows you to save your clients' measurements right there on the app. Now, whether you're sewing for male or female, there is no measurement, I assure you, that you will not find on this app. From bust point to under bust to even crotch depth, guys. Crotch depth is there as well. Like, it's just so detailed. I also love that you can access these measurements anytime, anywhere, as long as you have internet connection. Now, you don't have to worry about losing your measurement book or going through tons of pages just to get one measurement. Now this app also allows you to put in your orders. So let's say you have a jumpsuit order and a boo-boo dress order from a client. You can put it right on the app and you can also put in the style inspiration behind that order. So for example, your client sends you a picture of the exact jumpsuit that she wants. You can put the picture right there along with her order right on the app. I really love this feature. It comes in so handy when you have lots of orders and you just want to keep everything organized. You can also send professional invoices to your clients that have your account number attached, which makes payments so swift and easy. Also, you can check how much you've made in the month, in the week, or even in the year. If you want to check out StyleBits, simply click the link in my pinned comments and my description box to download the app absolutely free. Thank you again to StyleBits for sponsoring today's video.
Oh, hey, I didn't see you there.
So for the bottom part of the dress, I'm using a doll face satin fabric. I'm using 2.5 yards. I've gone ahead now to fold it in half, as you can see. And I folded it widthwise. And I'm also going to go ahead now and fold it diagonally, just as you can see. And now I'm dividing my waist circumference or my client's waist circumference by 4, and I'm placing it on the fabric where it fits best. Okay, then I'm just marking that point. Now from the peak or from the top part of the fabric, I'm just marking that same 9 inches that I got when I measured from the top to that line. I just moved my tape so I can get that same 9 inches to create my curve for the waist. Now this is a 180-degree skirt that we are cutting. Now from that line, which is the waist, I'm just marking the length of the skirt. You can decide how long or short you want yours to be, but for me, I want it to be 24 inches. So that's what I'm marking now, 24 inches. And I'm just cutting along that curve. I'm also cutting along the waistline as well. I'm just going to open it up. This is what it looks like once it's all opened up. Now the length I have is 24 inches. I'm going to divide that by 3 because we have 3 tiers. When I divide it by 3, what I have is 8 inches. Obviously, if you have more than 3 tiers, you can divide it by maybe 4 or 5 depending on how many tiers you want to have. Now from the waist, I'm marking that 8 inches that I got all along. Now from that line I marked, I'm marking 8 inches downwards again. So from the waist, mark 8 inches downwards, and from that line, mark another 8 inches downwards as well. Okay, so divide your piece into 3 tiers or 3 layers. I'm just going ahead now to make sure that the lines are very obvious with my chalk. Pardon me if you're not seeing the line very well. Now this is where I'm going to attach the first layer on the waist, second layer on this line, and third layer on this line right here. Okay, now that we have that calculation done, Now it's time for us to calculate the length of each layer of 2. Okay, we're going to start with the third layer. Now we're going to take this 8 inches we calculated here. We're going to write that down. Then we're going to add 1.5 inches to that. Okay, and that will give us 9.5 inches. So whatever you get after the first calculation, just add 1.5 inches to that. That will give you the length of your third layer. Okay, now for the first and second layer, what we're going to do is we're going to simply add another 1.5 inches to the length of the third layer. Okay, so that same 1.5, we're going to add it to the length of the third layer to give us our first and second layers. So layer 1 and 2 is 11 inches and layer 3 is 9.5 inches. Now this is the tool I'm using. It is 10 yards. Okay, and then I just went ahead to fold it a couple of times so that it's easy for me to work with. Now I'm just going to go ahead and mark that 11 inches, which is the length of the first layer. Okay, remember that the first and second layers are the same length. They both have a length of 11 inches, which is what I'm marking and cutting out here. So I've gone ahead to cut the first layer 11 inches. Now I'm going ahead to mark that same 11 inches for the second layer. Okay, and once I've marked that, all I'm going to do now is just cut along that line. Okay, so this is for the second layer. So I'm just going to set that aside. The first and second layers are complete. Now it's time for me to cut the third layer, which is 9.5 inches long. Okay, so I'm just marking that 9.5 inches for the third layer. And then I'm just cutting along that line. Now these are the first 2 layers. When we unfold it, we're going to see that we have 4 layers of 2. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and sew basting or gather stitches at the top of the first 2 layers. All right, same thing with the third layer. We're also going to have 4 layers of 2. This is the third layer, but we have 4 layers of 2. Now we're going to go ahead and sew basting or gather stitches at the top of our piece. Now this is the strong net we're using. It is actually 19 inches long. Obviously it has to be shorter than the door face used. Remember that the door face length is 24 inches, so this strong net is 19 inches long, and the width of this is 3 yards. Okay, the width of this is 3 yards, but then the length is 19 inches. Now for the lining I'm using just 2 yards of lining. I don't want to use a lot of lining, so just 2 yards of lining, and then the length is 22 inches. Now I'm going to go ahead and also sew gathers or basting stitches at the top of the lining. Now back to our 2, I've gone ahead to sew the gather stitches at the top of the 2. This is the first layer, so I'm just going ahead now to create the gathers. I'm going to pull the bobbin thread in order to create the gather. So as you pull the bobbin thread, you're going to use your fingers to just push the gathers on the fabric so that it just keeps moving until you get to the end. That's simply how to create gathers. It's very, very simple. To create the basting stitches, all you have to do is set your machine at the longest length and then go ahead and just sew a straight stitch. So I'm just going to keep doing this all the way till I get to the end. I also do this for the lining, for the strong nets as well. Now once we're done, this is what we have. Now I'm going to go ahead and take my circle skirt, and now I'm going to go ahead and arrange the layers of 2 according to how I cut them. Remember that the third layer is different from the first and second in terms of the length, so I'm just placing the third layer of 2 first on the last line I marked. Then once I'm done placing it, I'm placing the second layer of 2. Since the first and second layer have the same length, it doesn't matter which one you use, just pick one of them and place on the second on the first line that you drew on your door face satin. Okay, so just place it, arrange it. If your gathers are too tight, all you have to do is just loosen it up a bit so that it's it's going to be enough. And then finally, for the first layer, you're going to place it right at the waist line. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and sew all the layers of 2 to the door face. The first one at the waistline, the second one right there, and the third one right there as well. I've also gone ahead to gather my strong net. Now, as you can see, now I'm placing the doll face with the soft tool on the strong net, and I'm joining them together. Now over to our princess that bustier. I already have a detailed tutorial on this on my channel. I'm going to leave the link right in the pinned comments. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to make sure that my half length is fine. For my half length, I'm making sure that I have about 3.5 inches. The extra half inch is so that I have, that extra for seam allowance. So once I'm sure that my half length is what I want it to be, I'm just going ahead now to just trim off the excess. Okay, now I'm going to flip it so that I'm looking at the back of the piece, and then I'm going to open the seam at the zipper allowance, and then I'm going to fold it in such a way that the back pieces are facing each other with the wrong sides. Once I have that done, I'm going to mark 1 inch from the hem. I'm going to mark that point, and I'm just going to go ahead and connect that to the dart. Okay, just connect that to the dart, and then I'm also going to go ahead and trim that out. Now what this would do is that it's going to avoid, or it's going to prevent any zipper bulging. Okay, you don't want there to be zipper bulging when you join your zipper to your dress. Okay, so once that's done, I'm going to go ahead and take the skirt part of my dress, and then I'm going to place the bodice on it, and then I'm going to join both pieces with ½ inch seam allowance. And once we're done, this is what we have. Can you see? It already looks very beautiful. Now as you can see, I've not attached my lining yet, so this is the time to attach the lining. Now when I'm attaching the lining, I'm going to focus on the allowance created after joining my bodice to my skirt, and I'm going to join the lining on that allowance. Okay, so that it gives a very neat finish when I'm done. Okay, you don't need to weave when you do this. And then all you have to do now is just put in your zipper and then close the rest of the center back. Okay, and that's it guys. It's so easy to do. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.